Yes. Super Kirby Clash. A forgotten game. Yeah, when's the last time you've ever heard of this game's existence? I bet some of you have never heard of it until now, huh? Anyways, this is a pretty underrated game, so why not? I'm gonna give a rundown on this game in this video. Let's get started. Released on September 4, 2019, Super Kirby Clash was released as a free game on the Nintendo eShop. A neat little full game of a mini-game on Kirby Planet Robobot called, well, Kirby Clash. And also a sequel to the first full game release of that minigame on the 3DS, Team Kirby Clash. I enjoyed the Planet Robobot minigame, so I was happy to find out that this existed on the eShop in like 2020. The game is very similar to the original minigame, where you fight a boss with 4 teammates, which can be AI or actual people, to take down a boss, whether it be a made-up boss that's completely unique, or a boss from a previous Kirby game, for example, Landia. This also features the exact same 4 worlds seen from the minigame: Sword Hero, Hammer Lord, Beam Mage, and Dr. Hearmore. Sword Hero is your middle-of-the-bunch damage dealer. Nice damage, really fast attack speed, nothing really else to talk about. It is my favorite though, because yes, swords. I like swords. Hammer Lord is the big boy damage boy, and is slow as hell, both in movement speed and attack speed. Beam Mage is much like Sword Hero, only having more range, less attack speed, and even less damage, but it does have a really good charge-up move. Finally, Dr. Hearmore is the support character, with a couple of damage moves. All of these play out similar to their Kirby ability counterparts, with some new additions to spice it up. All of them also have a unique charge-up move. Well, really, Beam Mage is the only unique one. Everyone else has the same charge-up move, like in normal Kirby, except Doctor, which instead of a damaging zone is a healing zone. Beam Mage can legit stop time with enough charged-up hits on the boss, which is really insane. But yeah, as you can tell, all the classes are balanced, which is really, really nice. Let's talk more about the bosses, though. In the bosses, you can get Team Meteors. As seen in all other versions, after a boss reaches their Furious mode or at around half HP, 4 power tablets will randomly spawn. Each Kirby needs to pick up 1. After all 4 Kirbys have picked them up, they will be prompted to a timing minigame, having to time a little Kirby icon in the dead center for more damage. Once every Kirby completes the minigame, depending on the performance, the meteor can do a buttload of damage, or even more of buttload damage, because it's OP even if all the Kirbys just suck ass in the minigame. After defeating a boss, you will get a score, which will result in a medal, ranging from bronze to platinum, based on how fast you kill the boss and some other factors, and which is a nice little flex. And that's really about it for the boss fights, besides random food spawning and also the Furious mode, which I just mentioned. So let's move on to some progression elements of this game. You can do this by, well, following the plot in story mode, killing all the bosses with a semi-plot with the Kirbys chasing down the parallel nightmare and stuff. Yeah, nothing too crazy, it's quite basic. You unlock more bosses by beating more bosses, basically. Yeah, that's really about it for story mode, but to do story mode, you need story Vigor. Vigor is the sort of currency in this game that you spend on the boss fights. Easier boss fights will cost less, while harder fights will cost more. Once you hit no Vigor, you have to wait until it refills again to do any more fights. That's really stupid. There are 2 types of Vigor, story and party. Story Vigor is used for story quests, like I just mentioned, and there's also party Vigor, which you use for party quests, which are just extra little battles you can do that unlock as you do more story mode bosses. It's kinda cool, I guess. But Vigor isn't the only currency. Gem apples exist. Gem apples are basically seen everywhere in this game. You get them from the tree by logging in, completing bosses, and many other things, including hero quests. And you can also buy them with real money. No, this isn't as bad as you think. This isn't really pay to win at all, considering the amount you already get. They can be used to unlock new boss quests, retries on bosses if you run out of time to kill the boss, new gear, and cosmetics from the shop. Yeah, you can spend it on a bunch of shit. But let's talk about gear, as I just mentioned, that you can buy from the shop. Gear is very essential to progression. There are multiple tiers of weapons and armor to buy to the shop. Later on, there are 2 weapons and armors per tier. It's recommended to choose the one you think is better value and skip some tiers to not spend too much. Some gears require different resource gems, which can be obtained from bosses. Different gems come from different bosses, so figure out a boss that is easy to kill but not too underleveled, so this way you can get a bunch of gems. Obviously, the better weapons and armors you have, the more damage and defense you'll have, leading to easier boss fights, which can also be done by just leveling up. Like any other RPG, there are level ups, but there are caps in this game, but they do get increased as you progress on into the story mode. Some bosses have level recommendations to give you a picture of when it's a good time to give the boss a try. Besides that, there isn't much else to in progression. Could be forgetting some things, but that's all I can remember. Really, besides hero ranks, which is just an achievement blog. The more achievements you get, the bigger the number of hero rank goes. So yeah, and you also get gem apples, so that's kinda cool. And yeah, that's really about it to Super Kirby Clash. It's just a really nice and fun, simple RPG adventure. It stopped receiving updates recently with the final code for gem apples coming out in February of 2022. I think this is a very underrated game and people should definitely give it a try. Could be a bit biased considering Kirby and RPGs I really like. Basically a match made in heaven for me. But yeah, overall this is a solid game that deserves way more recognition. While it's not perfect, it's still a solid experience. So, that's the end. Thanks for watching. Peace.